Now that you've had some time to go back and look at your season, just very big picture, how do you evaluate your season on the field, that performance?
Yeah, it's a little easier to reflect now. It's hard to reflect as we were going through it, just because of the uncertainty we were facing on a daily basis. I think the overwhelming feeling I've got, I think back to the regular spring training, which was interrupted March 14th, and then the resumption of our training here during the summer. And the recurrent theme for me was our players' belief in each other and in their talent, and in a time frame that was probably faster than any of us thought was possible, and certainly faster than most outside experts thought was possible. And then seeing that belief transfer and transition into the reality of a successful season and taking the next step towards a championship future, that's kind of what resonates with me. Their resilience, their belief, not letting all the things that could have sidetracked their progress, the uncertainty of where we were going to play, the challenges in their training environment, different from other teams. There were so many things that could have been built-in excuses for our players. They refused to take those excuses, and they chose instead to focus on what they could control. And to me, those attributes and traits are markers of a championship makeup and personality, and a tremendous amount of character. So excited about the talent, the next steps the talent took, but really more than anything, the differentiating traits for me that are indicators of a bright future for our group.
What impressed you the most about your team, and is there anything that you learned along the way that you need to improve on, compared to how you'd look at it in February?
Well, I mean, I think one of the positives about the needs for improvement is they're so obvious. Defense and strike throwing to me. I look at what we accomplished in light of significant challenges defensively and with our strike throwing, and think, hey, if Ross and our baseball operations group go out and can just get better in those two areas, and just take natural progress forward, from in all the other areas that we were pretty strong in this year, that it will be that will be a significant positive for us in continuing to improve next year. When I think about the things that were great this year, again, I think our depth, our versatility, certainly some of those young arms that came up and transitioned and really were far ahead of what we expected to have major league exposure, got major league exposure. Some of the young players not only continuing to progress from a performance perspective, but taking steps forward in assuming accountability and ownership and leadership in our environment. Those are positives for me. But again, I think the results going from a 95-loss team, Keegan, to a team that played meaningful games up until the end and ultimately had the chance to play, even in an altered format, had a chance to play in a postseason environment. That's invaluable experience for them, and great next steps in our plan.
As we're looking towards kind of the future and things that are stabilized, one piece of uncertainty has been sort of your future with the club and with your previous contract due to expire shortly. Has there been some resolution there? Can you enlighten us a little bit about kind of where your personal situation stands?
Yeah, I'll be consistent on my answer there, and then which is I prefer my contract not be a focal point. I prefer it always be about the players and coaches and people in uniform. That being said, I do understand that it's a point of interest, so I will be consistent in my answer, which is I am extremely appreciative of the opportunity I've had here. Love living here and working here. It's been life-changing for me and my family and my kids to have been here, and certainly appreciate it more every day in light of the next 2 weeks where I come from. So I want to be here, both from a personal perspective and maybe most importantly, I want to finish the job. I want to bring be part of bringing a world championship back to Toronto and Canada. Excited about the progress we made, love who I work with and appreciate who I work for. And the desire to be here long-term has been reciprocated by the people I work for. So that's as simple as I can be for you. I'll be here until I'm not here, but I would expect, based upon my desire to be here and the reciprocation of that, I would expect that that's going to continue to happen.
Just wanted to touch on payroll, given the uncertainty with the pandemic and whatnot, and where you might be playing next year. How much, can you chime in on what may be expected over the coming months here as we look ahead to preparing for the next campaign?
Yeah, our normal process is, right now we're going through a series of meetings as a baseball operations staff, from scouts to our analysts to our coaching staff. We will continue to progress with those meetings into a presentation about a month from now to our ownership group, where we'll make a recommendation on a payroll for next year tied to a budgeting process. The reality of the pandemic, clearly changes the dynamic of our revenues. However, there has been consistent support from our ownership, consistent encouragement that we continue to progress in our plan, that we continue to move forward. That was evident with Ryu. That was evident at the trade deadline. In a very truncated season, very odd, with zero revenue, we still added players and revenue at the trade deadline this year. And every indication has been very strongly that they expect us to continue to pursue where we need to add to our core, continue to pursue players this offseason. So that takes two parties, not just us, but the players we're pursuing. But I think the resources are going to be there. If we think the right deals are there and we make those recommendations, the resources are going to be there for us to add in a meaningful way, and we'll conduct this offseason much like last offseason.